Las Vegas's homeless explosion, 2025, Unseen Reality. Of Tent Cities and Crisis, by StreetSide Witness. Neon spills across the asphalt like liquid fire. A slot machine dings somewhere, a promise humming in chrome. But a few blocks off the strip, tents bloom under freeway interchanges. Shopping carts clatter, a dog barks, and in the sharp desert air, a truth hangs heavy. On a single winter night last year, 7,906 people were counted experiencing homelessness in Clark County, more than the capacity of some Vegas arenas. That's 60% unsheltered the year prior, then a surge in sheltering as the county added 1,670 non-congregate beds, a 62% jump in an emergency push. America hit a national all-time high too, 771,480 people on one night in 2024. In 2025, here's the twist. This year's local census in southern Nevada was canceled, deferred until 2026, so our most current map is already fading at the edges. We're going inside the tent cities and heat corridors, into the tunnels carved beneath the strip malls, into policy rooms where numbers become nights outdoors. I'll ask hard questions with care and I'll show you what I see, without reducing anyone to a statistic. Before we roll deeper, smash that like, subscribe, and join the journey so this story reaches the people who can move budgets, votes, and hearts. Because the stakes are measured in degrees, dollars, and days alive, and in the quiet dignity of someone finally sleeping inside. Are you ready to look past the lights? First, Scorched Snapshot. Heat trembles above the asphalt, headlights ribbon past, bright as thrown coins. I step into the underpass and the sound changes, a hollow, steely echo. A cart squeaks, someone coughs. Tonight, Las Vegas market spectacle. History will remember its shadows. On January 25, 2024, 7,906 people were counted experiencing homelessness in Clark County. 3,704 slept in shelters. 4,202 slept outside. Cars, sidewalks, lots, washes. That's roughly 53% unsheltered. More than half of everyone we met in one long, cold sweep. Zoom out, and the picture grows. Nationally, the crisis crested. 771,480 people in a single night. About 23 per 10,000 Americans, the highest since HUD began tracking. Between 2023 and 2024, the jump was 18%. Southern Nevada tried to catch up. The county added 1,670 non-congregate beds in a year, a 62% spike, urgent and imperfect. Utilization hovered around 85% of the night of the count. Rooms filled fast. Couples, people with pets, trauma survivors. Many chose doors that locked over mats in a hall. But 2025's local point-in-time count never happened. The clipboard stayed in closets. The maps waited on screens. That means every tent we pass tonight exists outside an official ledger until 2026. Under this bridge, facts meet lives. A woman warms her hands on a paper cup. A man tapes a tarp seam against a dry wind. Buses sigh on the road above, pulling weight we cannot see. Numbers measure scale. They do not measure sleep. They do not measure the way a city sounds at 3 a.m. when the wind slips through chain link and the neon is far away. They do not measure the relief of a key. When a city sells fantasy to the world, who buys reality for the people living outside? Lena, artist, 34, Las Vegas. She sketches on cardboard under a bridge. I came for a job, then the job evaporated. Her tent is neat, a rose taped to the pole. I'm saving for first month's rent, she says, tapping a jar with $18.47 in coins. We keep walking. The underpass gives way to open sky, and the sky feels huge. The strip glitters to the west like a mirage. I count tents until the counting feels wrong. People are not inventory. They are neighbors, paused by price, by policy, by bad luck, arriving like weather. If data is a compass, ours is missing a needle this year. So we listen closer. We watch for patterns in the shade and in the heat. We ask how quickly rooms open and how many doors actually lock. We ask where the line is between the help we fund and the help people can reach. And we keep asking, what would it take to make this chapter shorter next winter? Second fault lines beneath rent. The root is not a mystery. The best predictor of homelessness is brutally simple: not enough affordable homes. The U.S. is short 7.1 million affordable and available rentals for extremely low-income renters. In Nevada, the deficit is about 77,928 units. Only 17 homes exist for every 100 extremely low-income households. When supply thins, price climbs. Wages try to keep up and lose the race. In Clark County, fair market rents jumped about 20% from 2022 to 2023. Nationally, median rent in 2024 stood 18% higher than in 2020. Groceries went up, gas went up. Deposits ballooned. The staircase out of poverty lost a few steps. You feel this truth at kitchen tables. A late fee becomes a spiral. A medical bill becomes a notice. A car repair becomes a move-out date. If you're a line cook or hotel housekeeper, a $500 emergency becomes the cliff. Not because you made one bad choice, because the math stopped forgiving. Look at who moves here to work. Dealers, housekeepers, cooks, rideshare drivers, barbacks, cashiers. Schedules swing, tips wobble. Rent does not. The vacancy signs stay coy. The waiting lists stretch like summer days. There's a comforting story that says this crisis is about personal failure. That story breaks under evidence. Cities with tight vacancy rates and high rents see more homelessness, even when trauma and addiction rates differ, because supply and price set the floor. Housing is the lever. Everything else is the angle of push. We meet families doubled up, quiet in back bedrooms. We meet workers in parking lots charging phones from car batteries. We meet students in shelters finishing homework beneath buzzing lights. They are the invisible majority. They carry uniforms on hangers. They keep pay stubs in Ziplocs. They forward mail to friends. Rents rise fastest at the bottom. The cheapest units disappear first. Investors flip aging complexes. Pet deposits and application fees gate the door. An eviction stays on a report like a bruise that won't fade. Even with a voucher, a no can arrive before a good afternoon. If we know housing is the lever, why is the lever still bolted to the floor? Policy can unbolt it. Deeper subsidies aim at the rents people can actually pay. Public land can move faster than private speculation. Codes can allow more small, safe units near jobs and buses. Non-congregate rooms can bridge the years while permanent homes get built. And yes, it costs money. It also costs money to fail. ER nights, jail bookings, school transfers, lost labor, shortened lives. Marco Bellman, 41, North Las Vegas. Hours cut. Rent up $300 in a year. He slept in his sedan, showered at the gym, kept his uniform pressed. I thought I could outwork the math, he says. Math won. So we return to the basics. Build what's missing. Protect who's paying more than they can. Keep people housed through short storms so they never see the sidewalk. The market writes one story. Policy can edit. Community can publish. And together, maybe we can finally move the lever. 3. Nights that burn. Vegas is a heat story. Asphalt radiates like a griddle at dusk, shadows shrink, water beads on cans and vanishes. In 2024, Clark County recorded 513 heat-associated deaths, a 73% jump from 296 in 2023. Among people experiencing homelessness, one analysis estimated 147 heat-associated deaths in 2024, up 39% from 106 in 2023. Numbers this stark are not just climate, they're policy, placement, and proximity to shade. The health district also logged 3,548 heat-related ER visits during the 2024 season. Old and young arrived with dizziness, confusion, and burns from superheated surfaces. Heat finds the unshaded first, finds people living outside fastest. When the sun punishes, people move underground into 600-plus miles of flood tunnels and culverts beneath the valley. The air is cooler. The risk is different. Outreach teams coax people up for care. A desert storm can erase a camp in minutes. This summer, officials and local outlets report about 87 heat deaths so far, in 2025 across Clark County as of early August. It's a tally, not a destiny. It tells us where shade, water, transport, and shelter failed, and where to aim cooling centers and rides tomorrow. Meanwhile, the 2024 local count showed 9% reporting a substance use disorder and 11% reporting serious mental illness. Not everyone, not no one, but people with layered needs. Cooling centers help, but hours matter. Routes matter. After-hours transport matters. Room keys matter most. A jug of water is mercy. A door is prevention. What kind of city plans for heat like a headline, but not like a calendar? Keisha, caregiver, 52, Las Vegas. She guards a neighbor's tent when the neighbor works nights. "We share ice," she says, pointing to a cooler. "The sun makes you bargain with yourself." She laughs once. "I'm tired of losing negotiations." A dust gust whips the lot. Tents ripple, then still. We mark the map. Shade at noon, water at dusk, buses past midnight. Surviving heat is logistics. Preventing heat deaths is infrastructure. The difference is measured in degrees and indoors. 4. Trust on thin ice. Policy shapes pavement. After grants passed Voight Johnson in June 2024, cities gained wider leeway to enforce camping bans, even when shelter is scarce. The ruling reset the legal weather across the West. Clark County's ordinance took effect February 1st, 2025, making camping, lying down, sleeping, or storing property in public a misdemeanor. Officials say enforcement begins with warnings. Advocates fear criminal records that shadow housing applications. The city of Las Vegas first passed a sidewalk sleeping ban in 2019, initially tied to shelter availability. In 2024, city updates enabled enforcement more broadly. Some reports cited penalties up to 10 days in jail and $1,000 fines region-wide. Language differs by jurisdiction, and practice shifts by shift. Henderson's police recorded 150 citations or arrests under its ban, from August 2023 to September 2024. Numbers like that aren't just metrics. They're dates with a judge, lost wages, and closed doors. Do sweeps move people indoors or just along? Research and outreach workers warn that frequent displacement severs care plans, scatters medications, and resets trust to zero. Lost IDs mean lost intakes. Lost intakes mean more nights outside. Street reality is contradictory. Some officers bring water, make calls, give rides. Some write tickets near posted no camping signs. A warning might include a bed referral. A bed might be full by arrival. The legality changed in 2024. The logistics didn't. If enforcement is the stick, where is the door? Trust comes from predictability. A known intake, a bed that stays open until the bus arrives, storage for belongings, a pathway to a key. Keys de-escalate sidewalks. Keys reduce calls for service. Keys outlast citations. What builds trust? A citation book or a key ring? Ralph, veteran, 63, Henderson. 3 tickets in 11 months. He keeps them folded, crisp. "I'm not fighting cops," he says. "I'm fighting time. My VA caseworker says I'm close." 5. Care and complications. Let's clear the fog. In Clark County's 2024 survey, 11% reported serious mental illness and 9% a substance use disorder. That's significant, and it means many others are wrestling with housing math, not diagnosis. Nationally, people experiencing homelessness visited emergency rooms at 310 per 100 persons per year in 2020 to 2021. 7 to 8 times the non-homeless rate. Clark County saw 692 overdose deaths in 2023. 68% involved opioids. The CDC says U.S. overdose deaths fell about 27% in 2024, but Nevada bucked the trend slightly upward. Evidence on solutions keeps stacking. Housing first and permanent supportive housing increase housing stability and cut emergency use. With studies showing 24 to 29% reductions in ER visits and hospitalizations in some cohorts. So when someone says, treat first, house later, ask, where does treatment live when a person has nowhere to sleep? Urban Institute calls housing first still the strongest path to exits and a platform for care. How many more nights do we prescribe sidewalks before we prescribe doors? Jules, line cook, 27, Las Vegas. Fentanyl took his brother. Jules carries naloxone. I've reversed 2 overdoses, he says. I'm not a hero, I'm a neighbor. 6 systems under strain. Shelters ran at about 85% utilization during the 2024 count. Rapid rehousing slots were fully used. 51% of local inventory is permanent housing. 49% is shelters, transitional, and safe haven slots. Hospitals and EMS feel the heat literally. In 2024, Clark County logged 3,548 heat-related ER visits in the formal season. Meanwhile, CDC tracked the long trend. ED visit rates for people experiencing homelessness have more than doubled since 2010. Jails aren't shelters, but ordinances funnel people there. Fines, warrants, probation violations. Locally and nationally, corrections leaders admit that criminalization doesn't solve housing and can worsen re-entry outcomes. The cost ledger nudges the conscience. National analyses suggest scaling housing first to all households in shelter would require at least $9.6 billion more annually, but would reduce churn and emergency spending downstream. Here's the hard question. If the ER, the jail, and the sidewalk are already full, where do we expect people to go? Nadia, paramedic, 38, Las Vegas. She keeps extra water and socks on the rig. We transport the same folks every week, she says. The call changes. The story doesn't. She's worked 12 summers. 7 budgets and bets. Budgets are moral documents. The city's FY 2025 plan notes added funding for the Courtyard Homeless Resource Center, expanded in 2023, a low-barrier 24/7 intake point with mats and services. Regionally, Clark County invested in non-congregate sites, converting motels and opening navigation capacity, part of that 1,670-bed bump between 2023 to 2024. It's a pivot from mass shelters towards safer, private rooms. Crucial for couples, pets, and people with trauma histories. But enforcement is a line item too. After grants passed, jurisdictions updated camping bans. Penalties up to $1,000 and 10 days jail circulate in the discourse in some ordinances. Costs of sweeps, storage, and court time are real, even before we count the human toll of lost meds and missed intakes. Zooming out, national inventories of shelter beds rose 18% year over year, but transitional beds fell, and permanent housing remains the scarcest, priciest fix. Policy is a gamble. Are we betting on citations or keys? Araceli, Outreach Navigator 29, Las Vegas. She tracks clients on a laminated map. I placed 14 people last quarter, she says. Wins are quiet. Paperwork is loud. 8. Beneath the myths. Let's tackle stigma. You've heard it's all addiction. It's mental illness. Evidence says otherwise. The strongest community-level driver is the supply and cost of housing. Yes, substance use and mental illness exist, and unsheltered folks are more visible. But many people outdoors report neither. Effective care often requires housing first to stabilize routines and medication. Another myth. People choose the street. Listen longer. People avoid some shelters due to theft, separation from partners, pets, or medical needs. Non-congregate rooms reduce those barriers, which is why that 1,670-room expansion mattered. Public attitudes are complex. Polling shows support for housing solutions, but persistent misconceptions about causes. And stigma itself harms. It blocks care, employment, and fair housing access. So ask yourself, if your first story about someone is wrong, what second story would you be brave enough to learn? Samira, student, 20, Las Vegas. She studies nights at a public library. I don't tell classmates I sleep in a shelter, she says. They think homelessness looks one way. Her GPA is 3.4. 9. Small doors, open. Hope is real, not naive. Veteran homelessness fell about 8% nationally in 2024. Proof that targeted investment and outreach can bend the curve. PSH and housing. First, keep people housed and reduce crisis care. Those 24 to 29% ER hospital cuts aren't anecdotes, they're study results. local sparks. The Courtyard's 24/7 low-barrier intake creates one predictable doorway. The More/Hope outreach teams coax people from washes to clinics. Shine a Light walks the tunnels, offering exits and accompaniment. Climate adaptation helps too. Cooling centers, shade corridors, water drops, after-hours transit to beds. The health district's dashboards let responders target spikes. 3,548 heat-related ED visits last season were a warning and a guide. Civic imagination matters. Faith groups sponsor rooms. Landlords hold units for rapid rehousing. Universities field street medicine teams. Each is a gear in a machine that runs on time or not at all. So, what small door can you hold open this week? Diego Veteran 58 Las Vegas, voucher in hand, keys on a blue lanyard. First shower lasted 23 minutes, he grins. I owe the planet some water. I'll pay it back. 10. What comes next? Here's the blueprint we've learned from data and from sidewalks. Build deeply affordable homes. Nevada's shortfall is approximately 77,928 units. Nationally, 7.1 million. That's zoning, subsidies, and time. So, start yesterday. Scale non-congregate shelter while permanent units come online. That 1,670-room shift saved lives in the heat and eased street triage. Fund housing first PSH at the real price tag, plus $9.6 billion nationally for sheltered households, because ERs and jails are the costlier backdoor. Treat heat like an infrastructure threat. Shade, hydration, off-hour transit, and prevention, where the 513 deaths mapped in 2024 teach us to aim, enforce with care. After grants pass, ordinances are legal, but legality and wisdom aren't the same. Tie any enforcement to real offers of beds, rooms, and rides. Fight stigma with facts. Causes are structural, solutions are housing-led and person-centered. And for you, watching. Call your council member. Ask where non-congregate rooms are coming online. Volunteer with an outreach team. Carry water and naloxone. Hire someone. Share this film. I end where I started, at the edge of the Strip, where tourists chase luck and locals chase rent. If the measure of a city isn't its jackpots, but its lifelines, Las Vegas can still win. It will take budgets, yes, but also belief. Smash that like if this changed how you see your city. Subscribe to keep this investigation alive. Drop a comment with a solution you've seen work. And if you're in Southern Nevada and need help, the Courtyard is open 24/7.